Hi everyone, it's Alison Marlowe here from Global Winning Women Live, and I'm absolutely delighted to be chatting today to VanessaJane, who is all the way on the other side of the world in Sydney, Australia. And let me just tell you a little bit about Vanessa and I. Well, we connected when we were both up-leveling, and we found ourselves participating in the same program. It must have been about 3 years ago now, I think. And one of the reasons I want to share that with you is because you never know when you invest in yourself and you sign up for a program, you never know when you show up who else is going to show up with you. And, you know, it just could be somebody who is going to make a massive difference to your business or to your life. And Vanessa and I really resonated with each other, and we've been in contact several times since, which is, you know, amazing despite all the thousands of miles in between us. So just wanted to share that with you at the beginning of the call. So before I invite Vanessa to join me, let me just tell you a little bit about her. So first of all, Vanessa's got a background in both the corporate and financial world. She holds a diploma of marketing, a diploma of social science, is a master practitioner in NLP, and is also a master of hypnosis. And I share this with you quite deliberately today because this isn't the Vanessa I know at all. And, you know, of course, absolutely, these qualifications have helped and enabled Vanessa to become who she is today, working with entrepreneurs, writers, media personalities, personal trainers, artists, fashion designers, health coaches, dating experts, actors, goodness me, it just goes on and on and on, jewelry designers, musicians, a real diverse range of creatives. And Vanessa really loves to help people extract their brilliance, their genius, opening their eyes to unseen potential and possibility, and help them to put a profitable, authentic business structure and products and media and creativity all around that. But you know, above all of that, what this enabling also does for Vanessa's clients is to help them really live an epic life. And on her website it says, "Welcome to a new way of living and doing business." So I'd love to welcome to the call right now VanessaJane. Hi, Vanessa.
Hello, Alison.
Hi, it's so wonderful to be connecting with you again. And you know, I'm so excited about this because, and I just want to share with our audience, you know, you're so many miles away, but isn't the internet amazing? Because this is the second time in a week that we've connected. So it's amazing what we're able to do these days.
It is. I think, I sometimes think that some of my favourite people are people that I only speak to on Skype. Because I get to talk to lovely people like yourself, and it feels like it's we're just really connected.
It certainly does, doesn't it, Vanessa? And you know, for both of us, I know that is a value that's incredibly important to us. And I talk a lot about, you know, this journey of entrepreneurialism. We can't do it on our own. We need our sisters. Yeah. We need each other to truly be able to thrive. And you know, what I'd love, if you would be willing, Vanessa, is just to share a little bit about your story, because, you know, as I shared in the kind of the formal bio there, that's not the Vanessa that we know today. And one of the things I find absolutely fascinating with my friends, my peers, my sisters, is that we are on this journey of constantly evolving, and what we may have been doing even 12 months ago is not relevant to who we're being today. So could we kick off in that way with just, you know, sharing a little bit of background, a little bit of your story, and perhaps, you know, bringing us up to date?
Yeah, of course. So I am from Australia, as Alison mentioned, and I've lived here. I was born here. Lived here most of my life, apart from some time 4 years in Europe and some time in the US. And one of my passions in life is travel. So having lived in many places around the world, I think that it actually has helped to shape me into the person that I am, because travel is, I don't know, it does something to you. It does something something you can't explain. it's really important to me. And I've lived in many places, and I started out being in my working life anyway, being desperately unhappy, doing jobs and studying. I studied law, commerce, business, marketing, public relations, massage, beauty therapy. What else have I done? Psychology. So I've done a lot of study in my life, and I've had as many jobs as I've had studies. And but yeah, my life has been desperately unhappy in terms of my work. So I never knew what I wanted. I could never find it. I was always searching. So my mother said, from the time you came out into this world, you've been searching for something, and you've just always been this seeker. And so the first part of my life was very unhappy. And I can promise you that if you ever talk to anyone who, my family included, who knew me back then, they would say that I was not a very nice person to be around. I was very unhappy, and I blamed the world for how unhappy I was. So I had a very big a chip on my shoulder, and I was a really awful person to be around. So it wasn't. It was a very unpleasant first part of my life, and I remember back to who that person was, and I cannot even begin to tell. We don't even have the same cells, that person back then, and I. So I did a lot of very deep shamanic work and personal development work, and etc. And today I am a person who is. I say this with great humility, but I'm very spiritual. I'm very connected. I really think that I have turned out to be a pretty great person, and I finally found my bliss. And it was a lifelong journey to find your bliss. But I chose. They say that you can either learn through wisdom or woe, and I chose woe. I chose the first part of my life to be woe, and so it was very. I found it very difficult to be here in this world. But I have transmuted my pain and my difficulty into something really, truly blissful, and that brings us to where I am today. And I work. I have my own business, and I travel all over the world. And I call myself an entrepreneurial muse and creative strategist. And that is a unique title, and I created it to be that way so that it would strike up a conversation with people. You know, when you tell someone what you do and you just give them a title that everyone else is using, they just go, oh, yeah, that sounds great. But if you tell them a title that they've never heard before, then they're like, oh, what does that mean? And so... Yes,
I can imagine.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so that's...
So what does that mean, Vanessa?
What does it mean? Well, the word muse, I will just explain a little bit about that. Why I used the word muse was, as many people know, the word, what muses are, they existed in mythology, and they were the creativity and inspiration for all music, literature, the arts, all of those things. And they were the ones that provided the impetus for the creation of a lot of those things. So a lot of the beauty that we enjoy now was created through the inspiration and creativity of the muses. And I love that so much, and it resonated so much with me because I felt like that's what I was providing for people, was this ability to take an idea that they had and put some fire and life into it so that it actually became something rather than just stayed in their head and their heart as an idea. So I took that, and I decided that I wanted to work with aspiring entrepreneurs. So not people who have successful businesses. These are people who are out there living their life, but who have a dream or an idea or a talent of some sort, And I help take that and help them build empires and write speeches and become famous or create a product or anything that anyone can imagine. I can take it and really breathe life into it and to do something really special with so that you can stand out in the world from everybody else.
Wow. And be that light that we're here to be.
Yeah, because the majority of people will have very humble dreams, and often those dreams stay as a dream. You know how you can go to a dinner party and everybody at the table can say to you, if I wasn't doing this is what I'd really love to be doing. You know, do that. Well, I like to take that idea and actually take it out of that. You know, if one day I'd love to do this and actually make it real for people, because having lived with so much sadness and misery in my own life and realizing that it was, I think I said this to you, your bliss is your responsibility. And nobody will give it to you. No one can facilitate it for you. And I never knew that. I just really thought that, it was one day I would wake up with bliss or someone would give it to me or something like that would happen. But I really came to understand that I was completely and totally the creator of everything around me and that was happening to me. And so,
Sorry.
Hello?
Sorry, I was just going to say there, because we're not taught these kind of things, are we? And even if you've been on a journey of, let's call it personal development for the want of a better terminology, and we hear these things, it still takes a considerable amount of time before we actually realise it for ourselves and embody it.
Yes.
I mean, that's certainly been my experience, and it's certainly been the experience of many, many other people that I have the pleasure to know.
Yeah, one of the catalysts for me was I heard this quote by this singer who I love called Jason Mraz, and he said, it's not even from a song, it's actually just a quote that he said apparently, and he said, life isn't happening to you, it's coming from you. And I remember listening to that thinking, what does that even mean? I don't understand. Somebody explained it to me. And after some time and some work on that, I came to really deeply understand what that meant. Because I had always thought that life happened to you, jobs came to you if you were lucky, or if someone gave you something, you were never really at cause for your life, is what I'm saying. So, so that statement really, really resonated deeply with me. And I think that it's an epidemic that we live in the world, because no one's taking responsibility for their own lives. We blame the government, and we blame our parents, and we blame all these, external things, but it's truly our responsibility, completely and totally. And anyway, that was the catalyst for me, is to really deeply understand that.
Wow. And where are you now on this journey, Vanessa?
Well, interesting that you should ask that, because after being in business now for nearly 5 years, doing the work that I have been doing, and having had a number of quite profound, what I call spiritual awakenings, I have just in the last couple of months undergone one that has literally blown me for a 6. Is it a 6 or an 8 in cricket? I don't know, something like that. But it's shaken my very ground of being. It has, and I haven't actually experienced it this deeply before, but it actually has really been making me question who I am, what I'm doing here, and not in, and I don't mean this in a flippant way. I mean truly, like, what is the purpose of my life? Why why was I even created? What am I doing here? Am I wasting my time? Am I doing something of any significance? Am I making anyone's life better? Like all of those really deep kind of identity crisis almost, that little existentialist kind of crisis that you hear about some people go through. But for me, it has done what I've never experienced before, and it's really shaken me to my core and literally has me stopped like a statue in time, just trying to process what's going on.
I was just going to say, can we talk about this? Because, I mean, the majority of my audience will also know that I've had to take some time out from my business this year for similar reasons, but mine was sort of exacerbated by health problems as well. But it was a similar sort of thing. And, I think these things are often still shoved under the carpet a little bit. And it feels very much that, you're experiencing this, as you describe it, as a spiritual awakening. For me, it was I would describe it as a deepening. And I just think we don't always talk about these things. Are you good to talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I welcome it. I run towards
Fabulous.
these things.
Yes, instead of running away, which is kind of, we feel, and I mean, this is just my opinion, but up until very, very recently, I felt that, when things are, when your real core is being shaken, we kind of go inward, which isn't a bad thing, but we kind of isolate ourselves from other people and we don't really share what's going on for us in the now. We wait till we emerge, like I am right now, and then we start talking about it. But I'm just, feeling that there are an awful lot of women who are experiencing something quite similar at this moment. I do believe it is a real period of time of growth and expansion right now, and it just feels as if now is the time to kind of shed some light on this and be okay talking about these things. It kind of happens. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't really have the words to describe, but I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your story, if you're okay to go there.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I agree. It's this time that we're living in is so spectacular in terms of this expansion and growth that is possible for everybody, and it's like a time that we've never had before, where the energy of the universe is actually speeding up, and we are being called for more, and it's actually not just something that you can think about. It's almost like the vortex that of the world is actually moving faster, and if you don't it's like change or die, and it's that serious. It's that change or die thing, and that's what has really it has felt like for me, being someone who is deeply intuitive and has a very spiritual perspective on the world. It feels that serious to me. It's this. I don't want to exist unless I'm being the true version of myself. I can't. It feels wrong. It doesn't feel like I want to do that. I don't want to participate in that kind of world for my. I don't want to be that person. So, what I am always interested in healing and have always sought out healers, and I've past life regression and EFT and spiritual healing and all of the different types of hands-on, distance, whatever types of healing. And I sought out something that has literally changed my life, and it's a particular type of vibrational healing that I have been participating in for the last 2 months. And it was I was at the commencement of that particular thing that I'm talking about that literally had me wake up one day going, I have no idea who I am. And again, I don't say it in a flippant way. Oh, you know, it's not a comedy to me. It's a serious moment. It's like, what am I doing? And who am I? And all of those things that I've never ever asked myself before. You know, I've had moments of, you know, what do I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. But never this moment of, who the hell am I? And what is my purpose here? And, yeah, all of those things. So it stopped me in my tracks. And why I think it's important to talk about this is because I am a solo entrepreneur with my own business. And if I stop working, there's no money coming in. If I stop creating, there's no programs that are being worked on. Nothing is happening. And as you know, Alison, in your own business, you can't just say, I don't feel like doing anything today. You can't do that. But what's actually happened for me is that it has been the greatest, most extraordinary but terrifying thing. I always run towards these types of things because I think I asked for this. And when you ask for something and then you run away from it, it's like you're being ungrateful. So I run towards it, and what it has done for me, which is really interesting. I thought that once I discovered this business that I was doing, that was it. You know, like I would do this for the rest of my life because I love it so much. With every fibre of my being, I love it. And what this has done is showed me that a lot of the things that about my business and about myself have come from ego. Even I talk about myself as being very spiritually oriented and someone who is very, you know, I practice meditation and I'm very connected and I practice mindfulness and all of these types of things. But yet there was still a lot of ego that was had existed in my decision making and in my business and things like that. And it is shaken up all of that and really showed me that I haven't been completely and totally the truest version of myself.
Feels very much like a mirror here.
And and when you, I don't know about you, but when you have that moment, it's like free falling. Like, what is going on? I don't understand. I thought I was all done with this. I thought I was sorted out. You know, so here I am with this feeling of like I don't have anything to catch my fall, and I don't know what to do. And yet, because of this vibrational healing thing that I've been doing, I was exhilarated. I was like, this is amazing. I had this opportunity to be this complete and total true version of who I really want to be. And I can actually do what I really want to do. And so it has shaken my business up in that I'm making some massive changes and my business is going to be looking quite different than what it looks like right now.
Do you want to share a little bit? or is it still under wraps at the moment?
No. What I've come to understand is I still was when I was a little girl, I grew up with a father who is incredibly achievement oriented and very, very smart, very intellectual. And I always wanted to, I wanted to be approved of by my dad. I wanted my daddy to think I was wonderful, and so I spent a lot of time really focusing on the intellectual part of myself, the intellectual component. And I learned as a child to shut down this incredible gift of intuition that I had. So I repressed the truest part of me, which was this amazing ability for vision and intuitiveness. because I was always told that I needed to stop being so sensitive and to stop trying, to stop with all that sensitive, intuitive stuff. And so I stopped. I literally stopped it, and I went into my head. And what I've come to understand is that we live in a world where everyone is focused too much on their head and not enough on their hearts. And we've lost the ability to feel, to learn to feel and to make our decisions based on our desire and our feelings. What's one of the things I learned from a woman who's a mentor of mine called Danielle Laporte, who has a book called The Desire Map. And she talks so much about desire. But I learned that I had really, I'd left my body and really focused on my smart, my brain and my intellectual. And when I learnt that I needed to get back in touch with the feeling part of me and to learn to feel, to not even to learn, but to remember how to feel, because we don't have to learn how to feel because we're human. So I had to remind myself and go back and relearn and remember that. So I did that. I started to this real journey of going in, learning to be more in my heart and to get less out of my head and to accept this gift that I had been given from God or Source or Universal Spirit of deep vision and intuition. Because I never thought that was a legitimate thing. I always thought legitimate stuff is my law degree and, my business stuff. And to learn that the gift of intuition, and with intuition comes this real ability for creativity as well. So I never thought that creativity and intuition were things that people truly valued. People will go, oh, yeah, you're so creative, that's great. But I never thought or really felt that it was a very valuable skill to have.
Yeah, almost like you didn't own the gift.
Yeah. So I didn't have any ownership of that. And so what I have come to in this last, these last few years, and even more deeply lately, is this: I cannot truly be the greatness that I really want to be until I own those repressed and shamed parts of myself. And those repressed and shamed parts of myself include this almost psychic vision ability for intuition that I have been so ashamed of for such a long time. And this ability for being able to be really creative. Those things that I've really repressed were the two things that as soon as I started to own them, it was like, oh, now people really get me. And they like this. They like this version of me because it's real and it's true. And I'm not trying to be Estee Lauder. And I always thought I have to be like a businesswoman, like a suited-up businesswoman, because that's when people will respect me. Do you know what I mean?
I certainly do, and it's such an old paradigm, isn't it?
Yes, thinking that you have to be. And I still remember when I was 15 reading the biography of Estee Lauder, thinking, so that's who I have to be. Oh, okay. I didn't even really want to be that, but I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That's what I've got to be.
Because, again, we're not taught these things. We're not taught to really embrace our own uniqueness. And I think probably in our formative years, through our education and schooling, there's a degree of that, but it kind of gets lost once you, and I do apologise because I don't know what the terminology is in Australia, but we call it secondary education.
We do too.
So, sort of from the ages of 11 through to 17. And I think it kind of gets lost in those years where we become almost part of... I can't think of the words to describe it, but I'm just thinking we almost we're just constantly ticking boxes. We have to conform all the time to what society expects us to be. And then for those of us who are fortunate, as we are, to be, the captain of our own ships, running our own lives without the conditioning around a corporate world, we have the opportunity to really unlearn this again.
Yeah. It is this, when you are trying to fit into a cookie-cutter model, it never feels right because you're not meant to do that. You're not meant to fit in, because the last thing that you can do, as Bob Proctor says, the last thing you can do is be like anybody else, because you're you and you're so unique and different. And so no one can ever be like anybody else. And so why would you
so much resistance.
Fit into a model of what everybody else is doing?
Absolutely.
It's not normal, and it's not right. And all it is just something that society has adopted and that haven't questioned. But now we're questioning all that stuff because we're saying, I'm depressed, I'm unhappy, I'm deeply unfulfilled, we're looking around at the deep misery that people are going through, the suicide, the domestic violence, the high levels of debt, people drinking and taking recreational drugs. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I did every single one of those things that I just mentioned to you that is epidemic in our society. I did all of those things because I couldn't own who I was. I repressed the true Vanessa, and I tried to fit into every single other person's view of who I should be. And as I suppose many people do that throughout their life, but I was so deeply sad and desperate for people to accept me and to be approved of, that every single other paradigm that existed, I had to try and fit into, not my own.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Vanessa, can I just ask a question? Obviously you're going through some really profound changes, and there's this greater spiritual awakening, as you describe it. And I'm curious, and I just wonder if you can just sort of shed some light if there's other people listening in, how do you maintain, because you adhered to this, but how are you actually maintaining running your business currently with all the change that's going on for you right now? Any little snippets of wisdom, because obviously we don't do woe anymore, we've chosen wisdom.
We don't do woe anymore, that's right. And you did ask me, what does my new business look like? And I'll add that into what the question you just asked. There are always remnants of things in what we're doing that have clues as to what we're meant to be doing. There are always remnants, and so what I am doing now has a lot to do, I love what I do with all my heart, and there is a lot about it that I'm going to keep. It's just that it's a very small example of what I want to be doing. So in order for me to truly own those repressed parts of myself and to be the proper version of, let's be honest here, Alison, you and I both believe that we all have a reason for being, I imagine. You believe that, don't you? There's something that only you are created to do, that only you can do because of who you are and what you've experienced. There's a uniqueness to Alison Marlowe and the way you do what you do that is really special, as there is for me and for everybody. And so I can only be that for which I was created for if I am owning everything about me. And so this real deepening of who I am has forced me into owning everything and being really real with what's going on and who I am and what I want. And it's up-leveled me to a place where what I'm doing, whilst it's powerful and empowering and helpful, it's a small version of what I really want to be doing. And so there are parts of what I'm doing now that I'm still holding on to, and what I've done is I've taken some of those services that I do have and refined them a little bit. I was always scared to use the word spiritual in business. I always thought people would be, she's such a flake, and, she doesn't really have a legitimate business. It's like, it's kind of real, but you can't really use those kind of words in business. And this has allowed me to kind of go, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to use the words that I want to use. I'm going to use the emotive, connected, emotional, sensitive, and deeply intuitive spiritual words that I want to use in my copy, and I am. And that's what I'm infusing into what I'm doing. But what I have understood is that you can still continue working and doing the work that you're doing now, but refining what you're doing all the time, because you have to be responsible and you have to have money coming in. If you don't have another source, then you really do need to have money coming in. So what I did was I created a service similar to what I'm doing for my clients now, but it's a lower price service, and it's called Find Your Bliss. And it's a 2-hour session that I do with people, and I have an amazing process that I take people through that is based on psychology, cognitive behavior, shamanic work, some spiritual techniques, some things to do with heart resonance, a whole lot of different things that I bring together, and it's a 2-hour journey, and I show people exactly what they were created for and how to take that and use it to make a living or have a career or have a business. And so it's like a real process that people go through to connect who they are meant to be with a way to make money and to live in the world. So it's sort of what I have done with my clients, but I just have given it its own special title, and I now use the terminology around it that I really want to use. And Find Your Bliss is, I think it's a really attractive kind of idea, to find your bliss. And so that's one of the things that I have been doing. So I'm still bringing money in, but whilst I'm doing this service, which is so connected to what I really want to do, but it's also based on something very tangible and real for people, I have money coming in. And whilst I'm having the money coming in, I'm creating my signature talk. I have 3 or 4 new programs that I'm creating. I'm building this whole new vision of who I am, but based upon what I'm going through at the moment and who I really want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be really, really helpful as well, because I feel and I see quite a lot of resistance in people. You know, you mentioned this earlier in the call as well, that, you know, when we come into business, we think this is it. And then suddenly it's almost like we have this calling, this yearning deep inside of us that is wanting to take us off in slightly a different direction. You know, maybe the core essence is the same, but we are basically evolving. And, you know, I see a lot of resistance to that, because people feel fearful and, well, this is what I'm known for already. You know, I can't become somebody else. But, you know, that is really not owning those gifts. That we're really here. And, you know, as you said, I love what you said earlier about the remnants. It's about, you know, bringing those remnants with you. And almost like creating this beautiful, I don't know, I just suddenly had a vision then of almost like a patchwork quilt, you know, that you build it as you create this quilt over a period of time, who you're becoming. And, and I think, you know, this is just so topical right now, so really where women want to be. And I'd love to ask you, Vanessa, where can people find out a little bit more about this program, your Find Your Bliss program?
Can I say one more thing before I tell you about that? Just something
please,
I'm chomping at the bit to say.
Okay.
What I've come to understand through a lot of the work that I've done and my own development is that we have a resonance to us. Whether you call it a vibration or an energy or whatever you want to call it, to me it's a resonance. It's how we resonate with the universe, how we resonate with people, how we resonate with things and what we want. It's this effect of resonance to me. And this resonance that we have, it's a powerful vibration that each person has. And that resonance is your responsibility, completely and totally your responsibility. And the resonance that you have determines who comes into your life, what happens, who you fall in love with, the decisions you make, what you eat, the actions that you take. Every single thing about you is dependent upon that resonance. And all of this deep work has taught me, whilst, as I said before, that your bliss is your responsibility and your resonance is your responsibility, is that when you remove the resistance from your resonance, your life becomes what it's meant to be, what it was meant to be. I had resistance to everything. And what do they say? There's that saying of insanity is the very definition of insanity is wanting things to be different than they are, and that's resistance. But this idea of I was resistant to everything around me, to people, to ideas, to what was happening, and to my own conscious mind. And I've learned that the resistance piece is key to everything. And I am in the process, and I'm so much better at it now, in just not resisting things. Just being in this state of allowing and receiving, creating and intending as well, but not resisting. And it has made the most enormous difference to who I am, how much people like me, whether they like me or not. Like, all of these things depend upon that resonance. So I just want to say that because it's a I don't know, does that make sense what I've said?
Absolutely. And I think, if there are people who are listening and this is really new to their ears, it's the first time they've heard this kind of talk, it's about, I'd like to just really encourage and invite you to be open to what Vanessa's sharing with us on the call, and, to kind of play with that. Yeah. Allowing and, the receiving as well, because it's something women are just not very well equipped for. We haven't been brought up to receive in the way that we need to, really. I would say it was a need to be able to, I'm going to use your word now, to be able to, to resonate in the way that we need to be in the world.
Yeah, receiving is something you have to learn how to do, because I did that surrender thing that we were talking about. That when you remove the resonance and you let go of this need to control everything and this need to be things to look the way you want them to look, there is this magic that starts to come over your life, because a person or a relationship can end because there's someone else that is meant to be for you, or there is a job that is ending, that you were fired or you were made redundant because there's something better for you. But we always just focus on what it's meant to be, like, I'm not meant to leave this job now, or, all those kind of things. It's like, let it go and allow yourself to kind of receive whatever it is that's meant for you. I know that sounds really simplistic when you're going through something, but the way you handle difficult times is what makes you who you are, not when you're just talking about it in theory.
Oh, Vanessa, thank you so much for sharing your truth with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
On where you are, because I really do think that there are a lot of people that are going to be really gelling with what you've been saying today, really understanding that from what their current experiences are. As you said, the energy of the universe is really, really speeding up right now, and I think there's a lot of discord, disharmony, people feeling lost. I mean, the terminology I was using earlier in the year for myself was I felt as if I'd lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. Yeah. So I think this is just so pertinent now. Thank you so much. And I just want to come back to one last point about allowing and receiving. If this is a new concept to you, there's a Susan Jeffers, who is the author of Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. She's written a couple of other books, and I think it's Embracing Uncertainty. I think it's in that book where she talks very much about, this whole thing about letting go of the control and allowing. So that's a really great starting point for anybody who just wants to explore that a little bit more.
Yes, truly a good person to start with is Susan Jeffers. That book is iconic, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Vanessa, we need to go, but I haven't haven't shared with us where we can find more out about you. It's so important.
I keep running away from that and going on to something else. Okay, focus for a minute, Vanessa. They can go to VanessaJane.com, which is VanessaJane.com, and they can click on Find Your Bliss Sessions, and those sessions are very special to me. I really love that I can show someone that all of the tragedies and the challenges and the pain and the difficulty, and also the passions, joys, gifts and talents, they are the path of navigation to what you are meant for. And it's hard for us to see those things by ourselves. Sometimes takes another eye to guide you through a process, and that's what those things are. And I'm very proud of those sessions because they are the kind of starting point into the work that I'm going to be sharing with the world very soon.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you, Vanessa, so much for sharing what has been just such an amazing chat. I've loved every minute of it, and that I know that there's just so much more that you and I could be uncovering, but unfortunately time had the better of us on this occasion. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really, really appreciate everything that you've brought to the call today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I've loved being here with you, and I feel like, there's more conversations for us.
I think so too, and very much for the Global Winning Women audience.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Bye for now.
Bye.